Hey, welcome back
Hello.
to the Ops Team Show. You guys, is this the Ops Team Show or just the Ops Team? Do you actually include the show?
It's the 10th episode.
Is
He's
it
questioning what the name of the show is. It's the Ops Team Show.
Ever since you left our employee.
Hey, that was the news
to
we
me.
released last week when you guys replaced me with a chicken breast.
It was lightly spiced jerk. We've established that as part of an eggvolution.
So this is the Ops Team Eggvolution.
That's the title. That was the title.
Nice. This is the Ops Team Show. We're here, and we're going to be talking about a variety of different topics. 4 different people working at Microsoft that have a particular passion around one of 4 different areas. And you guys, in case you missed the news last week, my name's Rick Claus. I'm informally your introductory host today. Mm-hmm. And yeah,
And you brought drinks.
I brought drinks for everyone, so it's actually a good way
Well,
to start the show.
You say drinks.
What on earth is?
So this is a
thing?
ginger, lime, turmeric shot that
Ginger,
includes
lime, and turmeric.
Yeah, that also includes ghost chili pepper as well.
So what is this supposed to benefit?
It supercharges your brain and makes it so that you have happiness inside your tummy.
So it's safe to drink.
It is safe to drink. So ready on
Hang
the
on.
count of 3
What,
to
down
start
in
off
one?
the show.
Three
We're going
shots
to pound them
Ooh,
back.
down in
One,
one. Down,
two.
I'm down in one.
Yes.
Yeah.
1,
Two,
2, 3.
It charges my brain already.
Oh,
That's pretty good.
what?
Nice.
Liking that.
We are going to be supercharged for the rest of the show.
I'm gonna be sick.
That works.
Oh, my throat is on fire. And I like spicy food, but
Oh yeah.
that is ridiculous.
So who's going to go get those in every single week?
I know, eh?
Yeah. Do you know? I actually think that's actually helped my my vocal cords a little bit. I'm a little bit louder all of a sudden.
That could
I'm
work
liking
as
it.
well.
Whoa.
So in case it's your first time on the show, it's our 10th episode. We each take turns randomly being chosen for who gets to go first. I was already told this morning that because I've moved on to a new team that I've lost my article I was going to talk about.
If that's the only one, I can give you that one back.
No, I've got some more. I've got
Okay.
some more stuff. I'm lined up.
Right.
But
What was spinning?
do we have a spinner?
Spinner.
No?
No.
No spinner?
We'll have to use something quickly. Just grab your phone.
Oh yeah.
What?
You know, I can recycle last week's spinner. I haven't.
Yeah,
I was so happy with that photograph of Matt. And actually,
It actually came out quite well in the video.
It's now his phone background.
Yeah.
Now his phone
Actually
background.
printed on his wall above his fireplace.
it's not my phone background
It's
just
really like that.
yet.
Nice.
But that was my plan.
Nice.
I keep
My
getting
mouth
this-
really is burning.
Wow.
Yeah, it burns.
Yeah.
What do you think of
It
it?
burns.
No, I wasn't expecting this.
Well,
Something like a juice.
just wait for a few hours.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so here is the spinner.
Let's put over number 2. Oh, you got it up there? There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's the spinner.
Okay.
Okay, let's spin this thing.
Right. Here we go. So let's spin. Oh, it's me.
Oh, look at that.
There you go.
Look at that. First up, on prem. I've not
Got your timer ready,
I don't know,
man?
I haven't even
Timer
got it.
ready? Come on.
No, I haven't even got it.
What is it? You guys are falling apart.
It's not there yet.
I haven't. I don't know the last time I went first. Right. So set for 5 minutes. We are good to go.
Make sure he's not
So
cheating.
I'm not cheating. Right.
You have
5
to
minutes.
hide the timer.
I'm gonna hide the timer.
Okay,
God,
go.
it's like pretending with your dad, which I've never done. Right. Are you ready to go? On prem. 5 minutes starting. Now, there we go. So my first story, my first news of the week, which links a nice unification between on-prem and Azure, is some enhancements to the Azure Site Recovery capability, which is within the Operations Management Suite. Now, we announced Azure Site Recovery ages ago. It's got multiple different scenarios that it supports. On-prem Hyper-V to on-prem Hyper-V, VMware to VMware on-premises, Hyper-V to Azure, VMware to Azure, all in the name of disaster recovery. And we've made some enhancements specifically to the VMware to Azure component or scenario, as I described before, making it easier for you to deploy, because in the past we required multiple components to be deployed in Azure to handle some of the replication and some of the process and some of the control. And in addition to that, some components that you needed to deploy on premises within your VMware environment. So we've simplified a lot of that, and I'll provide a link to the blog post which explains where some of those simplifications, some of those enhancements have come in, but it is a significantly more streamlined scenario now. So if you're running VMware vSphere in your environment and you want to provide DR, and you've chosen perhaps to not use VMware's own site recovery to their own vCloud because of for whatever reason, maybe the capabilities aren't there, maybe you can't use all of the features or whatever, Azure Site Recovery does provide you a really compelling option for that, and it's just one of the many scenarios that ASR offers. Really consistent, slick UI, easy to use, fail over, replicate into Azure, fail back if you need to as well. All of that stuff is there. So there's no IaaS components or appliances that you now need to run in Azure, which is good. That's one of the simplifications from before. And in addition, it's just a simplified MSI-based setup on-prem to set up your vSphere infrastructure and get things going. So really, really powerful, very scalable as well. Supports things like non-disruptive testing. So if you want to, once you've replicated your vSphere stuff into Azure and you want to test what's going to happen in the event of a disaster, you can do all of that as well, which is really, really important. So cool stuff in Azure. The second one, and I hope I'm not stealing another one of Rick's, but it is within the Operations Management Suite, so it counts as on-prem, is around Azure Automation DSC overview. Were you going to cover that or not?
No.
Okay, so there's some new stuff in Azure Automation DSC. We've actually made available, or we've announced that Azure Automation DSC is now generally available in Azure as well. So if you're not used to using DSC or desired state configuration on-prem or in Azure, doesn't matter which one, it enables you to essentially say, okay, I would like to say, for instance, this server, this web server, I need to configure it as a web server, so I can use desired state to configure it, but also ensure that it stays as a web server over time. So it avoids things like configuration drift, which is very useful across physical, across virtual, whatever it may be. So using a declarative PowerShell syntax, using PowerShell, using desired state configuration, now supported within Azure Automation against your Azure resources, your Azure VMs, or your on-premises stuff as well. So even if you want to use it, even if you're exclusively on-prem, you can use the Azure Pull Server and essentially get those configurations down to your on-premises resources and bring about change and keep a steady state of your particular workload or your particular virtual machines or physical machines. Sticking with the Operations Management Suite, it seems like on a weekly cadence that seems to be where there's most news in my on-premises area. But I want to give a hat tip to some of our key, not only MVPs, but some of our key System Center evangelists around the world, both Microsoft employees and partners, who have been working on a book. So there's a chap called Anders Bengtsson, who's a System Center, he writes a System Center blog, he's a PFE, a Premier Field Engineer for Microsoft. And there's a couple of other people, Mr. Tao Yang, at Stan Zelazkov, apologies if I pronounce your name wrong, and at Pete Zerger, or at P Zerger. These guys have been working on a project for the last couple of weeks to bring a new ebook that's free called Inside the Microsoft Operations Management Suite. So definitely worth downloading. It's not going to cost you anything. It's very useful to understand. The challenge with these books is obviously a cloud service always evolves quickly and books become out of date very quickly, but I'm sure the guys have thought about that. But loads of useful chapters, getting onboarded, alert management, performance data, backup and DR, all of the key things in OMS, and it complements the hybrid IT management course that I talked to you about last week very briefly after the cow had mooed at the end of my timer. The final one, I'm going to get 4, same as David, last week. New blog post on the System Center Virtual Machine Manager Engineering blog, how to deploy a software load balancer, which is a new feature in Windows Server 2016, brought down from Azure, how to deploy that using Virtual Machine Manager Technical Preview 4. So if you want to test out the new network controller, the new software load balancer for some of your applications and workloads, can be pretty complex and complicated on TechNet if you read the document. That chili made me talk really fast. Right, I'm finishing that one. I'll give you the blog post. Check it out if you're interested in learning a bit more about some of those, the new software load balancer. It's early days in terms of getting used to it and understanding it, but this blog post can certainly help you deploy it on TP4. And that is my 4 pieces of news, or that are my 4 pieces of news. That was my 4 pieces of news. Those were my 4 pieces of news.
You speaks well.
What is it? Pronunciation of the wrong syllable. Whatever you say.
Emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Yeah. It's just a kettle of worms.
Kettle of worms.
You're never going to live that one down.
Kettle of fish.
I know. We know. We
Worms?
know that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you said kettle of worms. A can of fish.
Can of fish.
Can of fish.
Which, to be honest, I mean, unless it's tuna,
Yeah.
you never really want to have a can of fish.
No. Or sardines.
Yeah, well, true. Yes, there is those. Okay, let's spin this again.
We need like a top-down view.
Yeah, we do.
Oh,
Wow,
that
it
was
could be the
totally
whole way
fixed.
round.
No, it's you. It's all right. It's all
That
right.
crashed into something. Let's do that again.
It's
Well,
you
it's still
again.
you
It's me again. Okay,
Yeah, you
this is
again.
baited. This is
Right.
fated.
Right.
So, Matt, I have sent you a link if you can help us to...
On email?
I have, yes.
Well,
Sorry.
that would assume that he's bringing up the fourth camera shot. Are you bringing up
Hang
the
on,
fourth
don't
camera
do it yet.
shot?
I'm opening my inbox first.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll get
There's
to that
an
one.
email from Big Ass Solutions in there. They actually make fans. Really good fans, I'll let you know. But there are other fan vendors.
We'll get to that one in a couple of seconds because that's a little bit of a
Let's
something
stop talking
for-
about his fan base.
We haven't started my
Ah,
podcast
I see what you did there. Right, hang on. Okay, I've got your link. So we're ready to go?
Yeah, but we're going to go to that one last because
Okay.
that's just a bit of fun for the car fans out there.
Okay.
First thing that I wanted
Hang
to...
on, I've not started
I
timer.
was just trying to get something extra.
Right, here we go.
Okay, so the first thing is some pretty major news for anybody out there that is using an older version of Internet Explorer other than Internet Explorer 11.
Nice.
Yeah, you kind of are no longer supported.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we have ended
Now, is this
support.
only on certain releases of Windows, or is
So
that everything?
That's basically everything. There are a couple of caveats to that. If you're on Windows Vista,
Our condolences.
well, there's tens of millions of people that are actually running Vista out there.
Do they know it?
Yeah, well, if you're on that particular version, then you're still supported on Internet Explorer 9. But and if you're on Server 2008, then you're still supported on Internet Explorer 10.
We're wondering why you'd be using a browser on a server
It's a
anyway.
great question.
but,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
should
just
be
stuff
running
like that.
4 in
Yeah.
2008, and yeah.
So other than that, we've ended support. The internet will rejoice as a result of that. I think most web devs out there are going to be pretty happy about that. But it means no more security patches. That obviously means that there could be some folks out there, maybe some servers, maybe some other things where there's a little bit of an increased risk. So it's time to have a look at that. The other thing that was tied into that announcement was the end of support for Windows 8. Yes, Windows
Wow,
8 has
there
ended
you go.
support. Yeah, kind of amazing when you think about it.
I
It's
didn't
not
really
a-
read much about that at all.
particular
It was kind of
thing. Yeah.
quite silent, actually.
Yeah, it's actually kind of just slipped through. Now, Windows 8 is an interesting one because obviously there is still time to get the free upgrade to Windows 10 for Home Edition. So that is one thing that folks at home want to be doing. It is time to get yourself off of Windows 8. We know that you love Windows 8. Honest, there are still a few million people that are actually running Windows 8 at this point in time. So
So that's part of the support life cycle. It's now gone into reduced support at this point in time.
They have to
You know I'm
move
gonna
to
be
8.1,
it's
don't
gone
they, surely?
into the very extended support bit. You know, where you have
The
to actually
very extended
have
support.
a custom agreement with Microsoft in order to
Says,
continue.
very
Windows
extended
8.
support.
What do it? So, can I upgrade to 8.1?
Yes.
8.1 update one still be supported?
Yep. And you could go to 10. So those two
Yeah.
things are completely fine.
10 is my preference.
Yeah.
I was on 8.
I would move straight to 10.
I think if you
That
run
would
Windows
definitely
Update, that's
work
probably the one you're going to get now.
Yeah.
Okay, you
Yeah.
gotta be truthful
I
here.
take
How many
it with
Windows 10 upgrades did you do over the holidays? Did you guys talk
Over the
about this
holiday, I
last
was already
episode?
upgraded.
No, for all your friends and family, tech support.
4.
4 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did 2.
I didn't do any.
I did too.
Look at
Wow,
that.
okay.
That's
That's because you're a server guy and you're slacking.
No, it's because I don't have any friends and family.
oh.
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
can
guy,
give
no
you a
family.
PC
I'm
that
a
you can
loner.
upgrade if you'd like.
Nope.
Okay. So the next thing is a little bit of a public service announcement. Most of us work for the evangelism team, and we have a pretty big conference called Build that runs every year. Registration for Build opens on the 19th, which is probably going to be around about the time that this gets published, just about. So get in there, get your tickets quickly. We sold out within, I think it was 3 hours the last time that we did Build last year, so pretty amazing. It is going to be in the same place as it always is, down in San Francisco.
Marconi.
At the Marconi Center. Yeah, I've never been there, actually.
Is it not the Moscow?
The Moscow Center.
Marconi, macaroni.
Marconi was the radio guy. The Moscow,
It's the Moscow, yeah. It's not the Marconi. It's not from like Batman.
I'm not going to build. So.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Oh.
Just tell
Well, I
people
might
it's
be
in the wrong
I might be
place
going
then.
to build now.
I'm not going, so it's in New York.
Well, yeah,
Good luck.
Redirection.
see what we can do. And then finally, my last piece, Matt, if you can just bring up the video.
Hang on. My mouse has gone to sleep.
Oh, dear.
There we
Well,
go. Yep.
I'll just talk to it for a second.
No, it's up.
If you're you like your cars, and I quite like my cars, I have to say, then I think you'll appreciate the latest set of lunch break videos
What?
that Brad Anderson has released. These are kind of fun. There's a nice little teaser intro. Brad's going around and introducing and interviewing some folks from around the industry, around enterprise mobility, and some other folks as well. And it's a really interesting little series to be able to watch. The season opener is kind of cool.
What car is that? Can we see the car on the screen?
see
Are you sharing
the
that?
car?
Is
That's
it,
that's
it's not a Lambo, is it?
No, that's a McLaren. That'd be a McLaren. But
This is season 2, is it?
this is the start of
Gets
season
to hop
2.
in a rental car wherever he goes.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. I would have liked the opportunity to drive the McLaren. Pretty sure Brad would have liked the opportunity to drive the McLaren as well. That's a little teaser for what's going on there, and that's kind of.
I'd like to see Brad in a reasonably priced car, like
Well.
from Top Gear.
well,
Exec in a
How
reasonably
fast
priced car.
can you get
yeah.
between building 9 and building
exactly, yeah.
41
Round
in a
the
reasonably
track.
priced car?
Whilst doing an interview.
It's funny you should say that because I don't think you've managed to hit play, have you?
Oh,
That cow is loud.
the timer just disappeared. Right, so you want me to hit play? Are we on the screen still?
There we go.
Here we go.
Yeah, significantly more budget than we have. Oh, nice.
And I'm Brad
Yeah.
Anderson.
That's pretty cool.
I
isn't
visit
it?
Silicon Valley all the time to meet with our partners.
Nothing wrong with a Leaf.
Yeah,
Very
Nissan Leaf.
economical.
Yeah, Nissan Leaf, very
Could
nice.
charge at all sorts of places over
yeah.
campus.
Yeah.
You can
So
also
I-
charge your phone if required.
Nice. So I had a Windows-related thing happen to me.
Oh,
Um,
was it a blue screen?
no.
Okay.
I've been upgraded to the latest Insider release, and I'm rejoicing because I now no longer need to rely on my extensive robocopy skills when I'm transferring files.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that? Do you go to 11.808 too? No? I just copy in files, the dialogue just didn't appear.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for me. And it happens to quite a lot of other people. So you
Wow.
copy files, and you just not know. And so you just have to watch them appear and assume that the last one had actually finished
Well,
appearing
Just
when
trust
it appeared.
Windows.
Windows is supposed to be delightful and surprising.
I know,
Yes.
but just how
That's
that
the
got,
surprising
how that
buttons.
got broken. So yeah, my
Yes.
robocopy skills were just going through the roof, doing all sorts of mirrors and purging and transferring and
Nice.
restartable.
Okay,
copies.
man, we gotta flip a coin.
Yeah.
Or rotate that.
Since
phone
when do we
again.
flip a coin?
I don't know. It's only between.
You have a coin.
Oozing
a four-sided
oozing
coin.
myself.
Yeah, have you got his pin?
Of course, it's not unlocked, and I can't. Do I look at it and it works for me or something?
No, he's not got the Windows Hello.
Oh, it's not get hello. Maybe unlock it.
What kind of phone is that?
It's a
640? 650?
XL, 640
680?
XL.
640.
There
you go. Hey, it's very
Sure, there we go.
I gotta say, your phone choices are not very good for spinning. Like the 1020 was probably the best for
Yeah,
spinning.
because it was raised up
It's
slightly.
raised up. I'll bring over my 1020 for it because I've actually switched over and I'm using the 640.
Yeah, that's just the smaller version of that one.
But yeah, they don't rotate well.
Right, well, we need to figure that out.
You all set or what?
Right, yeah, ready to go?
Since you stole all my articles,
Here we go. Shoo.
we're just gonna have 5 minutes of silence. No, we're not gonna have 5 minutes of silence.
I wonder.
I just
where
waiting
that
to
was
see what's
going.
going on.
Yeah, funny
Let's wait to see if
guy.
you're coming on there.
Yeah.
You know what? I thought I'd talk about Linux. Yes, Linux.
Any more
stunned
shots,
silence
anyone?
in the room. The stunned silence in the room. The reason why is because actually some of your brethren on the server team published a blog series articles that are called Microsoft Loves Linux, and there's 12 articles that came up.
You
on that
stole
particular
his,
one.
he stole mine.
I've not got it on
And-
here.
are you taking it?
No, that's right.
The only reason why I'm bringing it up is simply the fact that it's there, and the fact that it was written by the Windows Server team because they're talking about how to run Linux inside of a Hyper-V environment more efficiently.
When you want to get stuff done, you get the Windows Server team involved.
Oh,
That's how
nice,
it works.
nice. Well, they've been writing this article series for a while. They just wrapped it up for the 12th episode. But the reason why I'm bringing this in from a story perspective is interesting because on the engineering teams, they are talking a lot more around when they bring new technologies into the Windows world or into the Azure world. They obviously are thinking of it in parallel with how do we make sure this works in the Linux side as well. And so all the stuff you can do in Azure with the G series machines, with the RDMA networking stack and all sort of stuff, those all work inside the Linux operating system as well, mainly because of their partnership with submitting entries into the Linux kernel to be able to make sure that those drivers get included. The drivers for Hyper-V have to be updated as well to be able to support these different technologies as well. And it just basically works when it comes into it. And so this also is a little bit of a cross-platform discussion, mainly because of your world, again, from the Azure Stack perspective, right?
Yep.
The idea is that when Azure Stack comes out and comes to fruition, that you'll be able to go off and run your Windows-based solutions and Linux-based solutions seamlessly across both the Azure platform up in the cloud and also on premises with the Azure Stack solution. So we have to make sure you have parity going on over there as well. So if I've completely stolen all of your articles,
I'm just going to talk about one of these posts.
one of the posts, well, fantastic. I'll leave you the post there for you in details. But it's actually a really interesting summary post that they came up at the very beginning. That's the one I'm going to link to inside the notes to read about it, for why this whole thing has been going on for the last little while.
I've got that up on the screen. I think if it's the Microsoft Love Linux Deep Dive blog series post. Is that the one you're referring to?
Yeah, sort of.
By
I guess
Michael
you'd say.
Kelly.
It starts off, this actually is posted by, that's on the Azure.com blog.
Yes.
No, the other one, that's the one that ours is going to be talking about. This is the one I'm talking about, the very first one, which is on the Windows Server blog for the Windows Server team with a big post of Microsoft Heart Linux at the very top of it. So
Nice.
that's the one you'll see there.
Okay.
They talk about inside data center. They also talk about inside of Linux or inside of Azure. And one of the main reasons I'm also bringing it up is because I've been installing Linux on my boxes. I've been using them as my main OS for all of a couple of days, in ages. It's been quite some time, and trying to find how everything happens to work and nice and doesn't not work nice and sort of stuff. And a personal story for me was actually running Linux on Hyper-V, Ubuntu as an example. I was coming across these random networking issues that were happening that I couldn't figure out what was going on Hyper-V.
It's a feature.
Well, I was running Hyper-V, but the issue was because I was running the desktop version of Ubuntu, because it's a desktop that I was making and working with. And it uses a technology called Network Manager inside of Linux to be able to make it easier to be able to switch between Wi-Fi hotspots and choose the best link for however it is to be able to go off and connect up and work on the network. And the neat thing is that I was introduced to the PM in charge of making sure that works. And I was explaining to him my situation, how I would basically just go to sleep. And he's like, oh, I don't get that at all. I don't understand why it's happening. It's because he was doing all the work from a Ubuntu server perspective, not Ubuntu desktop perspective. He's like, oh, okay, I figured that one out. Here you go. So in the span of about a thread of about 15 different emails back and forth, able to go and to get a bug checked in, created, and updated to be able to have a fix, and also have updated documentation for making it so you can run your desktop versions of Ubuntu. All happens in the span of a day or so.
So was that all checked in on our side? Was it a bug on our side, or was it a bug in Ubuntu?
It was a bug within Ubuntu, just specifically related to how they happen to... they don't have a special install just in case you're running inside of a hypervisor. Right. And so basically the Hyper-V solution did not like the fact that this weird thing was trying to control the network and would go to sleep on itself. So anyway, documented. I can point you to the blog post as well that talks about it.
Nice.
And very simple to be able to go off and have it working. So I can easily have my Outlook and Windows and Word and Excel, everything else all working on my Windows machine, and then flip over to my Hyper-V client and then have my Hyper-V implementation of my Linux distro for Ubuntu to make sure that I'm up to speed on all my good old-fashioned Azure CLI stuff, which is one of the areas I'm currently living and breathing right now. Look at that.
Oh, nice.
So, I needed more silent pauses to make that work better.
So how's your bash?
How's my bash? Yeah. It's just mainly even just the terminal, man, to be able to go off and do the terminal. And then, the NPM package manager, apt-get managers, be able to go off and get different stuff.
It's all about Yum.
Oh, it's crazy, man. My next, I need to finish off my current distro. Doesn't have full Git integration as of yet for doing stuff on GitHub. So that's my next project I have to finish off.
You need to sort your Git with your bash.
I know. Sometimes I'm just a Git.
No complaints here. Right, so last but not least, let me get the timer ready. Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
Are we on the right camera? Yep.
Yeah, I see myself.
Excellent. And your time starts.
So let me start with one post I like. Rick mentioned the blog post series. It's number 11, Linux Configuration Management with PowerShell DSC.
Very nice.
Yeah, most of our audience, they don't know there is a DSC available for Linux. So it's just like the Windows version. You would be able to deploy packages, ensure that a service is running. That kind of stuff is already there. So if you go to the Azure blog, Matt just showed, and go to number 11.
I've actually brought it up if you want to flick over to the
to
my screen. Yeah, you can see here's the blog post, which does actually list all of the others as well. But
yeah, exactly. There's a neat example, and you can see the architecture, etc., the available packages, the resources. So you can just start using it. You also have this available for on-premises and Azure. So we have something called Azure Linux DSC, which is open source in GitHub. So if you are looking for a way to, deploy packages and prevent configuration drifts, it's already there, so you can start using it. And as always, if you have any recommendations to the product group, you can just create a pull request in GitHub and make it visible to our engineering team.
Nice.
Yep. The second thing I'm going to talk about is again open source. We have a new Azure Resource Manager template.
Let's go back to Q camera.
yes.
Yeah, we don't want to stick with my screen. I can't look at all the other stuff I need to look at.
I'm talking under the influence Ginger. So we have a new template to deploy a highly available WordPress website backed by a MySQL cluster. So you could do this by yourself, like creating virtual machines in Azure, creating the configuration, etc. But now you have a template. So if you want to host your blog in Azure, backed up by a MySQL cluster, you can just use this template and it's up in like 10 minutes or something.
That's pretty interesting. Whereabouts is the MySQL cluster being held? Is it that being held on some VMs inside of Azure?
Yeah, it's on VMs on Azure.
Oh, I might have
So
Actually, she's written some really good articles. I've loved her stuff with regards to WordPress as we're trying to decide how to run our WordPress instances over the last little while. So I haven't actually met her yet, but she's written some really good articles about that.
Another news, we open source Chakra Core, which is the JavaScript of Microsoft Edge. Not all of them, but part of this Chakra Core. So you can also see the roadmap about Chakra Core. It's basically the engine powering JavaScript in Microsoft Edge. And if you're curious about, how Microsoft engineering teams did this, you can just take a look at the code. Again, if you have a recommendation or great idea or bug fix, you can just create a pull request. It's on GitHub. It's GitHub/Microsoft/Chakra Core. And I really like the roadmap part because I think this shows how open we are now. We are even publishing a roadmap about the products, about the parts of the products. So you can see that what's coming next. If you're a software development company planning to do something on Edge or this Chakra Core in particular, you can just see how you can sync your development cadence with Microsoft's development cadence.
Nice.
That's pretty impressive. I'm really amazed that we've actually finally open sourced that particular thing. I mean, it's pretty big stuff to do that.
Yeah.
For us.
I just keep hearing Shaka Khan.
Do you?
Shaka Khan every time. We've open source Shaka Khan. What's that got to do with anything?
And some plugs from me as well. The first one is David did an interview with Nordstrom about their DevOps transformation. It's a great interview. They're talking about how Nordstrom had problems moving to a more like DevOps-centric approach to their management of their IT infrastructure, how they solved them, their recommendations to other enterprise companies, Dutch companies about this. It's in Channel 9. I'm going to include the link, but you can just look for our show DevOps Dimension. It's part of this DevOps Dimension.
That's OpsDev, right? Is that the same?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
OpsDev, right?
OpsDev,
Yeah,
okay.
stuff, yeah.
We're starting a new
I'm
brand.
not going to object to that. Another show about DevOps. We have this DevOps Fundamentals show, and we have completed the infrastructure as code and automated testing episodes.
That's with you and Tiago, right?
Yeah, the infrastructure code was me and Tiago, and the automated testing was, I'm just checking here, Tiago and Chuck, I guess. Sorry, apologies if I'm just not remembering the name correctly. But for the infrastructure as code part, we're talking about the Windows world and the non-Windows world. So Tiago shows about how you can deploy something in Windows world using the ARM templates. And I'm talking about both the ARM templates for Linux world and of course Chef and Puppet.
Nice.
So that's new Microsoft. You have alternatives. It's up to you. Choose how you want to do it, and we're happy to help you.
Cool.
5 minutes.
And that's your news. So we got anything on the tweets this week?
There is a little bit. We've had some new followers.
Oh,
What are you up to now?
179.
Holy crap!
Which I
that was
believe
4.
It's 4, yeah.
Yeah, because I haven't published last week's at time of recording yet because I've been ill, and this won't help. The shot of
I think that's going to
crazy juice or whatever it
pretty
is.
much everything that's inside
yeah,
your
it's
body.
going to be sat in my office this
Yeah.
afternoon sweating.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that's good news. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you're interested in following us, it's at the Ops Team, as you should know by now, or you can email us. Some of us do monitor that email account and don't always assume it's a bot or spam. And it's theopsteam@microsoft.com. And remember to use the code words, I am not a bot.
Yeah.
So we know you are not a bot.
Yeah.
Yep, that can help. So how do people get in touch with you?
@ @RicksterCDN, or I'm still blogging at regularITguide.com.
Yeah, and mailing address at home,
At home?
phone number.
Oh, yeah?
No.
1 Microsoft Way, Redmond, Washington.
Just put
98052.
1 Microsoft Way.
Yeah, that works.
And yourself?
I am at SciMonster on Twitter, and you can also email me, I suppose, simon.mate@microsoft.com.
Wow.
Rarely check the emails, so
Brave.
yeah.
I will not be divulging.
Yeah, rarely check that. To be honest, actually, pretty much everything goes into a spam folder.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, and yourself?
I'm on Ospassimoji on Twitter, and
Right.
you can mail Simon if you want to reach me.
Yeah.
Simon.may@microsoft.
Excellent. And
Awesome, excellent.
it's at Matt McSpirit, and I was going to use that gag as well. It's rick.claus@mike. No. So that's us. Yeah, get in touch with the Ops Team if you do have any questions, or if there's something you specifically want us to cover or answer. We can be slightly more interactive if you want. I guess all that's left to do is close out the show, yeah? Anything else? No other news? No other? Right, great.
No, I
Quiet
think
week,
we're,
waiting for more stuff to happen, man.
Yeah, so that was episode 10. Thanks for joining us, and we shall see you again on another episode of The Ops Team. Bye.
Bye.